Hi, this is Jody from Pompeywinkle, and I have come up with what I think is my favorite journal cover ever. I'm going to show you how I made it. Super simple. It has a snap closure and a nice fabric and paper bag cover. And it is super easy, super simple to make. And let's get started. So the first thing I do is I get my signatures together. So I put them together. I like to add any pockets that I'm going to sew in because that's just so awkward to do when it's already put together into a book. So I get my signatures all together and sew in my pockets, do any sewing that I'm going to do on the pages. So once I have my signatures all together, these are, I used an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper folded in half. So this is like a standard size junk journal, and I have 3 signatures, but there's nothing in there. There's no tags, nothing's into the tuck spot, so it's going to get fatter. So you have to keep that in mind. I also put some tabs on just so I remember to leave space for the tabs. If you don't use tabs, it doesn't matter. Now, if you don't like to do your signatures first, you can just, use my measurements and adjust it to fit, as you think. So what I did, I got a piece of heavy duty paper bag. It's not the super thin kind, but it's a nice sturdy one. And I just made it about 1/8 of an inch on each side. You can't really see it, but it is 1/8 of an inch on each side taller. And then I just kind of wrapped it around. And I left plenty of space for it to get wider. I'm not holding it real tight. So it's got space to get wider. And it'll probably end up being about like this down the center. So that is about 18 inches by about 10.5 inches. That's what this piece is. 18 inches by 10.5. Actually, it was a little less than 18 inches. And I'm going to need 2 of those. One for the outside, one for the inside. Then a piece of fusible interfacing the exact same size. And this you can get at a fabric store. It's just kind of a little thickener, and it has glue on the other side that you iron on. And then you need 2 of these, 2 of these, 1 of these, and then I put this paper onto the fabric I'm going to use. And then I made it just a little bit bigger on each side. About 1 inch, maybe a little less than 1 inch in places. We're going to fold it over, so it doesn't have to be super pristine. But these you want to be nicely cut with good corners, and they're going to be, one of them's going to be visible for sure. So anyway, the first thing you do after you've got all your pieces cut out is you're going to take this fusible interfacing, put it into the center of your fabric like that, and just iron it onto the back. So this is the nice side, and this is the not so pretty side. You're going to iron it onto the not so pretty side, and you just use kind of a medium iron and make sure this is all centered, and just press it down, and that gives it some nice, it just thickens up the fabric a little bit. So I'm going to go do that. Okay, so here's the pretty side of my fabric, and here's the back side, and this is the interfacing, the iron-on interfacing, and it is all secured. It's all stuck to the fabric. And usually what I do now is I use some kind of spray glue like this, and I spray it onto the interfacing, and then I put this paper bag piece right on, and I glue it like that. But I just changed my mind. I'm going to try something new. I have, this is also a sewing thing. I'm going to put it on here so you can see it. This is double-sided adhesive. So like this thing only sticks on one side. It only has sticky on one side. This is sort of a fabric-y thing that has sticky on both sides. So I cut a piece to fit this. And you want it to fit exactly or a little less because you don't want to get it on your iron. Like if it's sticking out under the paper, you definitely don't want to get the sticky on your iron. Like see right here, I'm gonna have to trim that. It's sticking out a little. Or just be very careful not to put your iron onto it. But anyway, I'm going to see how that works, because the whole thing is you don't want this paper to get all wrinkly. You have to be careful what kind of glue you use. And that's why I use this spray, because that generally works, but it's so stinky. It's so stinky. So I thought maybe I'm just going to try. I'm going to try this, and we'll see how it works. Okay, that I think is my new go-to way to do it. That worked so well. No wrinkles. I have a nice sandwich here. Everything's glued together. I have the paper bag, then the interfacing inside, and then the slightly larger piece of fabric. And this is the good side. So all that took place on the outside. And I have that same double-sided iron-on sticky stuff. I'll link to this in the description if you want to buy your own. Not everybody has this sitting around. I have a long history of sewing behind me here. So anyway, I'm going to just put that in there and fold this up. Again, trying to keep the sticky stuff away from my iron. Just from keeping, I don't want it to have direct contact with my iron. So I'm going to do that. But first, I am going to cut the corners just to get rid of any extra bulk. So when I fold it up, it's all less stuff in the way. So I will tuck that. I'll tuck it in as I go because it looks like a little bit of a fiddly process. Okay, well that was easy and it worked great. I just turned these right under or turned them up, and it's all glued down. And the last thing to do, one thing I might suggest, if you are new to this, I've done a bunch of these before. If you are new to this, you might want to not do stripes, because that just complicates it a little bit, because you want the stripes to be all in line. And it just complicates a little bit when you're folding things over. It's just one more added stress. Not horrible, but maybe your first one, don't do stripes. So anyway, I'm going to get another piece of this double-sided stuff that I just decided to use and cut it to fit this other piece. And then I'm going to put that between this and that, and I'm just going to glue it all together, and there we will have it. Okay, so here we have it, our cover. Looks beautiful on the inside and the outside. It's still flexible. You can still bend it around, but absolutely solid. So I took my sewing machine and ran 2 stitches around the whole thing just to be decorative and to hold it all together. And then I put these little corner pieces here, and that helps protect the corners, and it also covers up any imperfections in your fold over job. And what I would normally do at this point is I would put a hole here and put a little eyelet through it, or grommet. I always get them mixed up. Another sewing thing, a sewing notion. So then there's a hole there, and I would thread a loop of elastic through it and then sew a button here, and then you can just pull the elastic around on the top and the bottom, and that would keep it closed. That's a easy way and pretty way to keep it closed. However, ever since I saw this fabric, I've been thinking of a brown belt. You know, like a buckle, a brown belt, brown leather belt with a buckle in the center, but I don't have one that I want to destroy. I do have this purse strap, which I never use, with the 2 snaps, but it's super long. So I'm going to have to figure out, first of all, how to cut it and attach it back. I'll just sew it and it'll be ugly. But I also have to figure out how to attach it to the cover itself. And I was thinking maybe if I cut this extra stuff into a couple belt loops. So put one here and sew it in, and then I can still thread this through. So anyway, I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm gonna go give it a shot. Okay, so I think this is gonna work. I put my signatures in, and I folded this over, which is where I think it'll approximately be. And then I folded this over, and then this is what it's gonna look like. Then I went to the back, and in the very center of I don't know if it's the center of the whole thing, but it's in the center of this back portion. And I'll check and see if it's the center. But anyway, I put a piece of that leather strap, and I just sewed it here and here. So it's a little belt loop, and then I cut off the ends, the snappy ends, but I didn't want to make, eventually I'm going to sew these 2 together, but I didn't want to make that decision how wide it's going to be until I put my signatures in. So it's all pending. But I think it's going to look super cute. So let's see if that is in the actual center. Pretty close. What is that? 8 inches, and no, it's not in the exact center. And then this is 9 inches. So yeah, I wanted it in the center of the book, of the actual book once it's made. Okay, so here we are, almost done. I sewed my signatures in right here using a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. There's 3 signatures, and I have a whole video on how to do that. If you're interested, I just skipped over that part because I've done that before. And then I positioned, then I filled it up. I just stuffed things in there, not where they're going to be or anything, but just to kind of bulk this up so I knew how round it would get. And so I folded it up. I put this where I want it, in the center here, and then I turned it over and taped it just so nothing's shifting around. And I'm just going to mark these. I'm going to go right to the center of it and just put a little hole here and right to the center of this and put a little hole here. And that's where I'm going to cut it. I'm going to cut each piece, and then I'm probably going to zigzag stitch it together. And hopefully the zigzag goes under that belt loop, because I don't want it to be seen. Here's my completed cover with the snaps in the front and the belt loop in the back that holds everything together. I did take some extra strong leather glue and put a little dot of it under this to hold it tight so it won't slip out. And you just unsnap it and open the book. Now all that's left is to really fill it, and that's the absolute best part. I love that part. And I'm going to do that. So thanks for watching. This I'm going to keep. I love that belt loop idea, and I'm going to use it again. I'm going to start scouring the thrift stores for leather belts, because this is the start of something, I can tell. So anyway, thanks for watching. You can like this video if you would, and subscribe to my channel for all the new videos I'm putting out. And thanks again for watching. Bye.